Chanel, thank you so much for joining me here on the Homeschool Sanity Show. I would love to have you start by telling us more about you and your family.
And my family, well, first we started as an Instagram channel, so it's them three and me, which is myself and my three daughters. And behind the scene is my husband, who through his hard work and everything he does allows me to stay at home, and I'm a homeschooling mom. So my daughters, I one just had a birthday actually, so she just turned 7. I have a 5-year-old who will be 6 coming up in November actually, and then I have a 3-year-old. So I homeschool all of them. A 3-year-old is just up in the air, but
Uh-huh.
my 7-year-old and my 6-year-old we homeschool. And so we started on this journey probably a couple years ago. We started off when they were still doing pre-K, and then from there we just kind of grew and grew, um, and that's where we are. We stay right about 30 minutes or so outside of the Atlanta area, and so we just have fun homeschooling and doing different cool things. Being a stay-at-home mom, a lot of family time. My husband also has the opportunity to work from home a lot, so we do a lot of family things together. And so which we just love.
Yeah. Oh, it is a wonderful lifestyle. Well,
Yes.
what I like to ask a lot of my guests who homeschool is why they decided to start homeschooling originally. I find that we get a lot of variety in the answers to that.
Okay. So originally, like I said, my daughters are still relatively young. So when the idea first came up, the pandemic was about us. So
Mm.
then they were a lot smaller and only going to like pre-K. Um, and so at that time we're like, there's no way during a pandemic we're sending these little kiddos to like a daycare or anything like that. And a lot of my good, close friends around, they homeschool. So since we kind of started off in the pandemic, we just kind of continued it. And also, me and my husband were both raised, I mean, I guess semi-traditional, I guess. And just we kind of wanted more of a hand in what they learn and how they learn. And with everything going around in school today, I mean, it's still, and there's nothing wrong with it. We have family members who still do traditional school
Mhm.
in a sense, but we just kind of wanted to be more hands-on, and things are just different than kind of when we grew up, in our opinion. And so we like that. And then we also like to spend a lot of family quality time together. So that's kind of how it started, and we just continue. Not to say we may not revisit it, in a couple of years
Mhm.
down the road, who knows? But right now it seems to be working. So we just kind of continued that process.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. And I'm glad that you are finding that it is a lifestyle that works for you. S-
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, this episode, we're going to be talking about teaching kids to cook independently. I have done other podcast episodes on this topic, but I think it's such an important topic because we are home most of the time for all 3 meals, right?
Right.
And snacks, and I really underestimated how much cooking was going to be going on. And with 6 kids, and we entertained a lot, it was important to me to have some help with the cooking at home. And so can you speak to that? Why was it so important to you in particular that you would teach your girls how to cook independently?
Well, for me, it started off with my 7-year-old. So maybe about 2 to 3 years ago, she's very hands-on. So she wants to do everything. Mommy, I want to help. Mommy, I want to help. And when she was little, she always wanted to help in the kitchen. So originally, I'm like, I'm here. I'm gonna cook anyway. I like to do it. It wasn't really a big deal. But then once she herself expressed the interest, I'm like, yeah, let's get you involved. So a couple of years back, I wanted to find her a gift, right? I want to find her a gift to where she can basically not cook with me, but me basically assist her. And I looked, and I searched Amazon, and as us moms know, Amazon I feel like Amazon has everything, right? So
Mhm.
if it's not there, it doesn't exist. So, but I just couldn't find anything. And so it really started with me personally, is because I try to, as much as I can, cultivate the interests of our kiddos. So if they have an interest in it, and my husband and I are able to kind of cultivate that, if it's something that we think will be positive for their life, we try to. Even if it's cooking, or one of my daughters, she wants to be a mail lady, so I fully attend to schedule field trips to the post office this semester.
Uh-huh.
So we just try to really facilitate that. So when she expressed that interest, and I looked for this book to allow her to take the lead in the kitchen, I just really couldn't find anything. And so that kind of led me on this journey to make it more of a priority, so to speak. And so I just decided, since I couldn't find what I wanted, I made it, right? So as a homeschool mom, we do a lot of that anyway. We make worksheets, we come up with games, we make activities. Sometimes it's like, what are we going to have for lunch? Let's make up these little hot dog sandwiches. I don't know. Like, so sometimes you just kind of work with what you got, right? And so you
Mhm.
make things happen. And I have a history of, writing growing up, and, it always has been dear to me. So I decided to write a cookbook for her that allowed her to take the lead. And that can also facilitate us learning in the classroom, and taking, not necessarily, well, we don't learn in the classroom when we cook, but kind of take the place of that. So I can teach different learning concepts while we're cooking, to kind of, to do two things at once, so to speak.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes. That's kind of
So,
how it's going for us.
well, that is really neat, and of course, I can absolutely relate to that. I wrote an organizing book for homeschool moms because I couldn't find what I was looking for, and then I wrote a language arts curriculum for homeschool moms because I couldn't find what I was looking for. So,
Right.
necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I am interested in knowing how the cookbook that you created really provided what you were looking for in terms of teaching your daughter to cook. So, how does your book kind of fill the need?
Okay. So what makes my cookbook unique? I actually have the book and one of the big aspects here with me. So this is the cookbook. This is actually dedicated, like I said, it's dedicated to my daughter. So this is a likeness of her. And what makes it unique is that it comes with a set of measuring cups, not only measuring cups, but measuring spoons. And as you can see, each measuring cup is a different color.
Mhm.
So that in turn is the start of making it unique. So within the cookbook, the directions just doesn't say 1 cup of flour. No, it has a picture of a bag of flour, and also a picture of the green measuring cup. So when you have a kiddo as young as 2, they can look and say, "Oh, a bag of flour, a picture of this green measuring cup. I need the green measuring cup." And so it allows them to feel that sense of independence, to say, like, I don't need mama. They can go through, look at the pictures, and cook with basically without any assistance. We do always say you need parent assistance in the kitchen. The kitchen can be a dangerous place, but
Mhm.
essentially you can kind of just stand back and watch your child flourish. And
Mhm.
so not only that, since we're using colors, it works on the color. Like the child has to know the colors. Also, we have a couple of recipes, like our blueberry muffin recipe, it says 5 berry blueberry muffins, but it's because they have the point of the recipe is for the child to get 5 blueberries and count them out, to put them in each muffin tin, to practice on that counting. So it's just a lot of elements like that works on counting and colors. So to kind of help with the homeschool aspect, and help them feel like, man, I don't cook with mom cooks with me. This whole element of cooking. So to me, that is the most unique part of the cookbook. But that's not all. At the beginning of each recipe, there is a story that facilitates that parent-child relationship. So it gives you time for, like, the mom or other adult that's in the child life to sit down and read a story. Sometimes we start off our days, and, like, our mornings, you're a homeschool mom, sometimes it can be fast trying to get things going. And I like to, gives you opportunity to kind of slow down before breakfast. Let's sit and let's read a story. So it features before each recipe features a story of Hadassah and her friends or family, and they go through some type of adventure. And at the end, they end up cooking breakfast, and then they ask, would you like to make blueberry muffins as well? So kind of just give that interaction time for mom and kiddo to sit down. And at the end of that recipe, you'll think that's it. Is that it? No, it's more. Like at the end of each recipe, there's review sections to review over the educational elements that we went over in the recipe, as well as some cool tidbits. Like if you didn't know that there's a national, pancake day, or did you know like who made the biggest blueberry muffin in the world? Like there's different cool elements like that, as well as an activity page. So, and that activity page may go over, learning as far as, like I said, like the counting or colors. It may go over just some things, some more thought-provoking things to, one ask, like, in one story, Hadassah had to make a big decision. Can you think of a time when you had to make, a similar decision to kind of get kids thinking about, personal accountability and things like that. So I really did my best to kind of make this book something that not only can be fun for parents to do with their kiddos, but also something that can be really helpful and assist the homeschooling parent, and, make it just an all around cool cookbook and activity book.
Right. Well, I love that. And I also just have to point out another feature that I thought was so, so smart, which is that you have made it kind of waterproof, right? It's kind of
Yes.
spill proof. And
Yes.
for each step of the recipe, kids can use a dry erase marker to mark off that they've done it, and then, of course, wipe it off so they can make
Yes.
it again.
Yes.
I love that. And I can absolutely tell that you're a homeschooling mom for
Yeah.
everything that you have put into this. I love the story aspect. I really, really think this is a fantastic tool, not just for parents, but you kind of hinted at it, because I could see grandparents really enjoying doing this book and activity with their grandchildren as well. I think I would like to do that when I have grandchildren one of these days. No time soon, um, but I love that. So, of course, I would really recommend to my listeners that they pick up a copy of your cookbook. But what if parents don't have a copy of it? Can you give us some tips for how we can get our kids cooking independently?
I think the start of it is to just allow them to be in the kitchen with you. So even I think that's the first step
Mhm.
sometimes. That's how my daughter started out. Just being present sometimes and learning and looking can kind of help to graduate them to cooking independently. So before my daughters were even old enough, I would give them little tasks that I know that they could do. Like for in the same blueberry muffin example, I would let them say, okay, let them wash the blueberries. So I put them in the bowl, let them get their stuff so they can swish it around. Little things that they can do. The Our cookbook comes with child safe knives so they can use, but sometimes you can pick something up like that if you don't have a cookbook at Walmart, and they can easily just be slicing, fruit or slicing vegetables. Just sometimes I find the quickest way to get, to an end goal is just to begin. And sometimes that beginning doesn't have to be complicated. It can be having them hold your cookbook for them, like the little task. And I think sometimes just for a kid being involved, they want to learn more and more and more. And they become hungrier as they go along, to the
Mm.
point to where once my daughter turns 6, she makes sandwiches for her and her sisters for lunch. And that's just almond butter and jelly, something simple she can do. But that love for cooking, that love for wanting her to do it independently just continue to grow. And as she grows, we add harder and harder tasks. So,
Yes,
so yes,
that's brilliant. Now, I love, because you're basically saying we don't have to be perfect to start,
correct.
right? It doesn't
No,
have to be the perfect kitchen, the perfect recipe. We can just let our kids do what they can do at the age that they are. I love that.
mhm.
But my other question for you is, when parents and kids are making a recipe in your cookbook, about how much time will that take? A standard recipe, like a range. I know you probably have to give me a range.
Yeah, so most of our recipes are slated to make only a few 30 minutes, and that 30 minutes
Mhm.
includes setup and cleanup.
Right.
So my goal was to make a lot of simple recipes because I know parents are busy to kind of get through it. And then
Mhm.
we do have longer recipes. I think the longest maybe be like it's like an hour, and that's our baked pancakes. They have to get in there and bake. But
Mhm.
for the majority of the recipes, there's 10. You can do in about 30 minutes, and that's with cleanup and and
Okay.
setting up. So that was
Okay.
the
Very
goal.
good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interject here, having seen all of my children grow and help in the kitchen. My biggest hang up and problem is that I'm in a hurry and I want to get that food made. And and so you just, oh, I don't want you to help me because it's going to take too long.
Right.
And that is understandable. And we all have times like that when we are in a rush, we have to get the meal on the table. But I would encourage parents to have a set time, or
Mhm.
maybe put cooking with your children on a loop schedule. So it's something that you do maybe every other time
Mhm.
on a Saturday morning. Maybe you want to start with breakfast on Saturday morning, or Sunday morning before church. Anytime that
Mhm.
is not so crazy chaotic that you can actually enjoy this time. Because the next thing that I wanted to say is that cooking with your kids makes memories even more than it makes delicious food to enjoy.
Absolutely.
And it's so worth it, isn't it?
Mhm.
It is so worth it. Every time I have said, "Oh, whatever it is that I'm gonna do with my kids, it's gonna take forever." It feels like it's gonna take forever, and I don't have time, I don't have the energy, and then I have pushed myself to do it. I have been so thankful that I did, and I can speak to my listeners right now that I have found that my kids have the fondest memories of those times that
Yep.
I sacrificed to take the time to do these things. And I enjoyed it so much too. So I encourage you to get a copy of Chanel's fantastic cookbook. I was very, very impressed. I don't invite anyone and everyone who talks to me about their product, their book, whatever, to the podcast. But I thought this was just so well put together,
Thank
and
you.
I wanted to have you come on and talk with us about it. So, where can people find Kid de Cuisine, and where can they then connect with you online?
Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. I really do. You can find us on our website. It's www.them3andme.com. Three is the number three. You can also follow us on Instagram at them3, also the number three and me, and also on Facebook. So the cookbook is available for pre-order right now. It won't fully launch until October 24th. So it's a little bit less than 6 weeks away now. However, if you do pre-order, there's a lot of cool things that you can get if you pre-order. We have free printables available. One of the things to kind of start with the cooking that you get is you get a visual grocery list. So if you pre-order, which is also cool, it comes with pictures of 80 common food items, and you can print it, you can laminate it, and you can have your kiddo pick the foods they want, stick it on. It's also dry erase, and it can kind of help if you're not ready, if you don't have that time to cook now, take them grocery shopping with you, and then they can just kind of check off as they go. So yeah, that's available. And I also wanted to add to your point too, when you say life gets busy. One of the recipes that we have in the cookbook is actually overnight oats. So I try to add something in for everyone's schedule. So if your mornings are busy and sometimes you can't do it, we have a recipe where you can set up at night, and then once you get up in the morning, it's already done. So you that kind of time kind of carry over. Sometimes we have more time in the evening, so I try to make a little bit for everyone. So hopefully, that kind of helps as well.
Well, that's fantastic. And now, do you have any other books that you are planning to release in the future?
I do. After this book release, after the first of the year, we have two more children's books coming out. One is from Sand to Sea to Back and Back Again, which is a story about the migration and the birth of turtles. Kids love turtles, and then we also have like a bedtime story coming out with 10 rockets blast into space, which is about a little boy who just refuses to go to bed, and so his mom um, tells him a clever bedtime story to get them there. But in addition to those, this book is actually planned to be the first book in a 3-book series. So each one dedicated to my daughters. So the first was dedicated to my oldest, Hadassah, and it's a breakfast. All the recipes in book 1 are breakfast recipes, and then I have book 2 coming out. It's slated probably towards the end of next year. It's still in the works, and it's all lunch recipes dedicated to my second oldest, Shani, and then the third one, which hasn't actually started yet. So I don't know when that's going to be on a docket. Probably look for that another 2 years or so, but that's going to be either lunch or dessert recipes. So we have a lot of cool things coming out. Each one will be a cookbook kit. Each one actually will come with an apron and a hat so your kid can feel special. And then, like I said, also it has the child safe knife, and it comes with a dry erase marker to use on using the cookbook. So a lot of cool things. We're excited. We're really excited
Yes.
to get started.
Well, this would make an excellent gift for your child as well.
Mhm.
I loved, I should say, buying my kids educational gifts, especially that would go along with what we were learning in our schoolwork. So I think this would be a fantastic book. I mean, not a book idea, but a fantastic gift idea for you.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chanel, so much for joining me today and sharing about cooking with your kids and teaching them to work, not to work, to cook independently. It's
Thank
not
you.
even work because it's so much fun.
Exactly. Making wonderful meal memories, just like you said. We say that all the time. So, yes.
Oh, that's